Year
It's big
two.
for us. We made it to year two.
Yes, we made it to year two. The Peacockys, big hit. Everyone loved it. They haven't canceled us yet. And so, here I am, ready to judge, to rule.
Why do you look like a Dalmatian?
So I was going to get a one of those tuxedo T-shirts.
Yeah, that's not a tuxedo T-shirt.
No, thank you, Jay. It's not. I, of course, thought, just on the way in, there's a Party City near me, near where we do the show. And I thought, I'll just roll in there. I'll grab a, And they didn't have one. They're sold out. Turns out going to a Party City after Halloween for a costume, not the best idea.
Fantasy Football Happy Hour with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
Welcome to the Fantasy Football Happy Hour. Happy Peacockys Day. Yes, the annual award show is back. But I have no idea where Matthew Berry is. Do you guys know? We kind of need him.
I think I see something walking in. Oh no.
Yes.
There you go.
Here we are.
With a big ass
Peacocky. We're going to turn to the camera.
Why is it so rigid?
You guys are welcome.
Oh, boy.
Peacocky, it's so good to see you. It's been way too
giant
long.
mistake.
It's been way too long. Thank you, Peacocky.
Why am I
You
here?
are the
And
best.
we wore
You are the
suit jackets for
best.
this.
Supposed to
There you
dress for the
go.
occasion.
Me and Peacocky,
Will Smith is
once again reunited the way we should be, always. Bask in our glory. Two winners right here. Peacocky and the Commanders, of course. God bless. Hail the Commanders. Hail Peacocky. Hail victory. Thank you, Peacocky. We'll see you again soon, I am sure. Absolutely. He's going to help us out with the award ceremony. And everyone knows the Peacocky is, of course, the premier award show for fake football. Everyone knows that as
something
well.
underneath that.
Oh, yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah.
You
Please.
did come dressed up.
You're damn right I did, Lawrence.
Little tight.
Yeah, some of us.
It's the European fit. European cut is what they call it.
Wow.
Some of us.
Matthew Berry via Milan and Washington.
Yeah.
It's just fitted.
Well, you know what? Some of us decided to wear a shirt, Lawrence.
Hey,
Some of us didn't.
Yeah.
Fine.
it's hot outside.
I will tell you. I will tell you this: as you see Lawrence Jackson going full Njoku over there, the wardrobe department very concerned.
They was a little short on the t-shirts.
They came in and said, "Is
I didn't
Lawrence
have-
not wearing a shirt?" I'm
they-
like, "I don't think he is."
They have an extra tuxedo shirt, so I was like, you know what? I'm going full pecs.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
have to say, I think
Yeah.
Matthew's wearing more of a skin fit than Lawrence, who's actually not.
I can
who's
see a little
literally wearing his
tricep
skin.
through there
You
too.
know?
Now.
That's right. You're damn right.
Woof.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah. Well, look at what you're wearing. Check
Wearing-
this out.
This is actually amazing.
I'm wearing Nas
Reed.
Reed is looking into a mirror and he's seeing a goat. Fantasy football legend Nas
Reed.
Reed, backup power forward for the Timberwolves.
Yes. For people that are like really Nas Reed, like what the hell does that mean? Jay Croucher lost an insane amount of money, really a ridiculous amount of money when Joe Flacco became the comeback player of the year. But he won it all back when Nas Reed became the sixth man of the year in the NBA.
Yes.
So
I could make a joke about DeMar Hamlin, but I won't. It's be off color.
Yes, fair enough. But the fact of the matter is like thanks to Nas Reed, your children can now go to college.
I'm still here. I get to be on the Peacockys thanks to Nas Reed, and so I pay homage to him right here.
Let's jump right in. We got a lot of awards to get to, and of course, the first one, the Fantasy Game of the Year. And the nominees are Jamar Chase, of course, Week 10 against Baltimore, 55.4 fantasy points. Josh Allen, Week 14 against the Rams, 51.9 fantasy points. Jawan Jennings in Week 3, 46.5 fantasy points against the Rams. Saquon Barkley, Week 12, also against the Rams. Sorry, Rams. Not a list you want to be on, but you're on it 3 times.
Yeah, that last touchdown killed my parlay. Still bitter.
46.2 fantasy points at Jahmyr Gibbs in the final week of the season against Minnesota. Dan Campbell says, no thanks to rest. Jahmyr Gibbs, hero, 46 fantasy points.
A couple of honorable mentions. You remember the Alvin Kamara game when he played at Dallas. Jerry Jeudy at Denver, that revenge game. What an amazing game that was. And, of course, Devontae Adams at Jacksonville. But what we did for the Peacockys, because we're a man of the people, we're a show of the people. Everyone knows this. And so what we did is we put the vote out to the people, Connor.
Yeah, they have a say.
They have a say. We put the vote out to the. So here's what we're doing. Is I'll handle it.
No, it doesn't mean that they win, though.
That's right.
They have a say,
What is this,
but
like
it doesn't mean that it's the winner.
It's
like the Pro Bowl.
NBA All-Star vote that gets weighted.
Yes,
and
a little
then
bit.
Producer Damien gets to overrule them if he doesn't like it.
Influence
less.
more than final say. So the Fantasy Game of the Year fan
Here's the
vote
fan vote.
goes to Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, there you go.
Tight race.
Congratulations.
Jamar Chase, 37%. He didn't win. Everyone settled down. He didn't win. This is just a fan vote.
This is the
Some
fan
people would
vote.
say it doesn't matter what the fans think. Some people would say it does.
Yeah.
It does. I didn't say that. Just some people say that.
Yeah, so anyway, so the fan vote, so again, but it does get weighted. The fan vote gets weighted into the exclusive, the exclusive committee here at NBC.
It's a long process.
It's just like the CFP. We lock ourselves into a room for 2 days straight and argue about it.
Lord.
Myself, producer Damon, producer Steven, Connor shows up. Jay, it would have been nice for you to show up.
voters.
Lawrence is there as well. Just everyone shows up. Big show, serves drinks. It's really a nice time. Drinks and stats, if I'm being honest with you. Anyway, so the Peacocky goes to, come on out here.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
10 out of 10 presentation.
Absolutely.
presentation.
There you go. Thank you, Peacocky.
There you go.
The fantasy game of the year goes to.
The honors.
All right, I will. This is sweet NBC stationery.
Josh Allen.
Wow.
There
Week
we go.
15 against the Rams.
6 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the most fantasy points ever by a quarterback in a single game. He's the only quarterback that had multiple 40-point games this season. But I think, to me, why the fans voted, why Josh Allen, proud Fantasy Life investor, comes away with the Peacocky, the prestigious Peacocky. This happened in Week 14. That was win or go home weeks for so many people trying to get into the playoffs. And Josh Allen single-handedly carried fantasy teams into the postseason.
Yep. And it was coming off just an epic stretch for Josh Allen. He has the famous snow game against the Niners, and he completely eviscerates the Lions the week after this. It's amazing he lost this game against the Rams. That's how well Stafford played on the other side. But, yeah, I mean, it's one of the great all-time performances from Josh.
He even said after the game, I believe Melissa Stark interviewed him and said, like, hey, Chris Collinsworth is so happy because he has you on his fantasy team. And he was just like, so do I. He's one of us. I mean, Josh Allen, in addition to having a very good NFL year, Josh Allen had a very good fantasy year for his own team. So there you go.
Fantasy Game of the Year, Josh Allen takes it home. Our next award is the Best Value Pick, and a loaded field for this one, guys. That includes Brock Bowers, of course. His ADP was tight end 12. He finished as tight end 2. Chase Brown, ADP was RB 35. Remember the great Zach Moss war in training camp. He finished as a top 15 running back in points per game, but from weeks 9 to 17, he was RB 3. Chuba Hubbard, ADP of running back 45. He finished as a top 15 running back. Brian Thomas Jr., a great rookie season. He was drafted as wide receiver 43. He finished as a top 12 wide receiver. And Jackson Smith-Njigba taking a huge leap in year 2. Slept on as wide receiver 41 by draft position. Finished as wide receiver 13.
Any thoughts? Where would you guys go here initially?
Was anyone snubbed?
I don't know if anyone's snubbed because I see Brock Bowers up there, and that's the only one I'm thinking about. You get a rookie tight end. We usually don't trust rookie tight ends. He comes in, and he was pretty much the only tight end that you could say week to week, every single week, he was going to give you his floor in terms of fantasy points. So I hope he wins it.
Yep. Well, Matthew drafted Taysom Hill over Brock Bowers in the league of a-holes, and then unfortunately still won the league anyway. Jackson Smith-Njigba went on a real kind of odyssey for his season. He started off as a disappointment. Yeah. And then all of a sudden really
got screwed by Tyler Lockett in our matchup.
Tyler Lockett, my man Tyler Lockett, committing great crimes for the Grape Slappers.
Yet.
Yes, but to me, the man is, it starts and ends with the Chubler, as it often does. Chuba Hubbard, who, to be fair, he screwed me in the playoffs because he did nothing against Dallas. But outside of that, monster season for the Chubler, who I think, came into the year as kind of a, what's he going to be with Jonathan Brooks, and then really delivered and was an RB1 for stretches during the season, certainly.
Yeah, when fantasy MVP is so subjective because it's just like, is it the guy that scored the most points? Is it the guy that scored the most points relative to ADP? Is it the guy that scored the most points relative to ADP given position scarcity, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can sort of slice this. It'll be interesting to see what the fans voted on because all great candidates as well. Chase Brown, again, once he took over the job, he was a top 5 fantasy running back week in, week out. You can make an argument for a lot of these guys, but the Peacocky goes to, from the fan vote. Let's hear from the fans. Yeah, come on in, Peacocky. These are the fan vote. Okay. Yep.
Oh, nice job by the fans.
Well,
I agree with
Brian
this.
Thomas
I ain't
Jr.
mad at Brian Thomas.
Good
Brian
job by the
Thomas
fans.
Jr. Bowers there at 30%. Wow. No love for JSN, just 3%. despite the fact he won a title as part of Live at Noon on the Cock.
Despite that.
Yeah, but despite that, I mean, Josh Allen also was on the team. Josh Allen, who won Fantasy MVP. He was my quarterback, and then of course JSN as well. So, despite passing on Brock Bowers, we had some star power. So anyway, the fan vote goes to BTJ.
Narrowly.
I think you can make the argument for BTJ, right? He finishes a top 12 wide receiver on a points per game basis on a team where, in a loaded rookie class, right after McConkey and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, all these players that got a lot of headlines. People are like, Brian Thomas, we like him, but Jacksonville, they got Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis. Like, how many targets is he really going to earn?
The great thing about it is that it became the Mac Jones show, and the BTJ show only started getting more people buying tickets. He was phenomenal down the stretch.
That's the thing. He probably carried some people to fantasy championships because weeks 11 to 17, he was wide receiver 3.
Yeah,
So
it was scary for like a week or two when Mac Jones first got in there, but then he got right back on schedule and, like you said, finished the season strong.
All right, the Peacocky goes to, where is my friend? There he is. Look at him. Look how beautiful he is. I'm taking you home later. All right, come on over. Yeah, that's right. All right, here we go.
Visualize that.
Bad value pick. Connor, why don't you do the honors?
Sure. The best value pick goes to, once again, in a loaded
Stationary.
ravaged. Chubby Magic.
Oh, the
Chuba
Chubbler.
Hubbard.
Oh, the Chubbler. What a great upset.
Wow, that's a big upset.
Take that, fans.
I
Roll
think
with
you
the
should
Chubbler.
speak as the leader of Chubby Magic.
Yes, for those who don't know, my team all year was named Slap Them Like a Grape, the Grape Slappers, and then I changed my team name to Chubby Magic 30 minutes before kickoff of Panthers against the Cowboys to try and reinvigorate the squad.
Yeah, sure.
And to be fair, Chubby Magic did absolutely nothing and got stomped, largely because Chuba Hubbard didn't do much. But he had a magnificent season. He took over that backfield. He had some huge performances in the fantasy playoffs as well. I've never seen someone score a walk-off game-winning touchdown then go straight on IR like Chubby Magic did.
That's
Just
legendary.
breaking
It's
barriers.
legendary
But yeah,
stuff.
no, great year for Chuba Hubbard. Got paid as
New
well.
contract,
Great
yeah.
to see. And he'll
New
be part of the-
contract and now Peacocky.
Yeah,
now some good hardware
Exactly. Good for you,
Chuba Hubbard.
the Chubbler.
From week 3 on, he was the 8th best running back in fantasy points per game. And I think you talk about just a value. I mean, so this is a guy that was a weekly starter for the majority of the season. He won people their playoff game. That walk-off, that game was his second touchdown. That walk-off game, I believe that was week 15, that Chuba Hubbard did that. And you mentioned it before. So many people in the preseason, well, Jonathan Brooks is going to be back soon. How good he's going to be a backup running back on a bad team. What do we think this Panthers offense is going to look like? And Chuba Hubbard, whether Bryce Young was rolling or not, whether Andy Dalton was in there or not, he just kept producing. To your point, he gets paid. His ADP of running back 45. 44 other running backs went ahead of Chuba Hubbard, who ended up becoming, throughout the season, a top 8 fantasy running back on a points per game basis. I think the committee did a good job here, Lawrence.
Yeah, I think so too. He's well deserving. Like I said, I like Bowers for this award, but you can't deny a guy who ran for almost 1,200 yards, became their lead back, and he'll be back next year, and there won't be 44 running backs going ahead of him next year.
So yeah, I think it's a real combination of the production plus the value that you got to get somebody to get that much production that late in your drafts.
We move over to Best Waiver Wire Pickup, and the nominees are Baker Mayfield, who finished as QB5 in points per game, 14% drafted. Despicable. Bucky Irving, RB10 in points per game from weeks 6 to 17, 5% drafted. What a rookie
also,
season.
but one of the 5%, live at noon on the Cock. Just want you to know, we
Congratulations,
drafted Bucky
man.
Irving.
Yeah.
Backup
Great.
producer Pete tried to steal him from me all year long, and I wouldn't go for it.
We should keep making this about Matthew's team.
J.K.
You're damn right.
Dobbins, RB17 in points per game, 22%
Sorry,
drafted.
I had so many award winners.
Jerry
Chubby
Jeudy,
Magic.
wide receiver 7 in points per game from weeks 8 to 17, 9% drafted. And Jonnu Smith, tight end 6. Yes, tight end 6 for Jonnu Smith in points per game, 2% drafted.
Who would you guys have voted for?
I think
Lawrence?
I would go Bucky Irving.
Bucky Irving should be the runaway, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so good.
he should be. If I was gonna have a second place guy, I would say Jonnu Smith, just because he gave you a tight end. We kind of didn't trust it at first But then he was the only one who was consistent with no matter who was at quarterback for the Miami Dolphins.
And you make a strong argument for Jonnu Smith. Just again, when you talk about position scarcity, I think it's the same
Yeah.
argument making with Bowers. It's just
Right.
like it was such a tight end is usually brutal, but this year especially, it was just awful to try to find production. And there weren't a lot of people that gave you consistent production from the tight end position. McBride, Njoku when he was out there, obviously Brock Bowers, but Jonnu Smith was one of them as well. So who do the fans vote for?
As the fan vote is rolling in for best waiver wire pickup, and the runaway is clear. Bucky Irving at 64%. That is our highest fan vote through 3 awards so far. The next closest was his teammate, Baker Mayfield, at 16%, and Lawrence Jonnu Smith, your runner-up, is at 10%.
Yeah, some honorable mentions: Sam Darnold, Bo Nix, Jacoby Myers, Juwan Jennings, Rico Dowdle, all guys that certainly deserve some consideration, but the fans go with Bucky Irving. But let's see who wins the actual prestigious Peacocky. Here he comes. He's very mobile.
Mobile.
Wow. Like
Yes.
Joe Flacco in the pocket.
Lacks
Yeah, I was
lateral
about to say, what
agility,
type
but
of mobile we talking
good
here?
build-up
Yeah.
speed.
Jay, why don't you?
Okay.
Thank you. You're very welcome. I'll see you later.
Terrifying. Best waiver
me
wire
out of that.
pickup. Yeah, you got to stop
We're gonna
alluding to
party.
that, Matthew.
Let's party with a peacock. Come on, Lawrence. Let's me and you get weird.
The
winner is-
Peacockys.
The winner, Joe Flacco? No, it's Bucky Irving. It's Bucky Irving.
Best
Yeah.
waiver wire pickup.
Bucky Irving.
Congrats on the hardware, Bucky Irving.
Gonna be a second-round pick next year in fantasy.
He'll be one of the best keepers across fantasy as well. All right.
He finished as a top 20 running back in 10 of his final 13 games since week 6. The 5th most yards from scrimmage of any running back, over 1,200 total yards, as you mentioned there. Again, top 10 running back from week 6 on. Unbelievable finish to the year for Bucky Irving.
Rookie of the Year in fantasy. The Rookie of the Year nominees are Faith in 5, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
QB4 in points per game. Malik Neighbors, wide receiver 6 in points per game. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver 12 in points per game. Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 20 in points per game. And Brock Bowers, another top candidate at tight end 2 in points per game. I think this is a 3-man race here, guys.
You know, he's McConculus. Are you surprised, though? Are you surprised, Connor Rogers, when you sit here and you look at the nominees, that Bucky Irving, who is a rookie and just won an award,
And was a top 10 running back.
right, as a waiver wire pickup, isn't one of the nominees? Did
Only-
the committee get this wrong?
Honorable mention seems questionable. It
Yeah.
seems questionable. I think
Bo
they
Nix
wanted
as
to
well.
spread the wealth, and they didn't want to have him in 2 categories, even though he seems deserving.
Just feels weird that he's not in the
Like
rookie of the
leaving
year.
Florida State out for mine last week.
Florida State was fine. That one was fine. I think that's been proven right. Have they won a game since they've been left out? I don't think they have.
It's been a struggle.
It's been tough.
We still waiting. Look, speaking of spreading the wealth, we've seen Brock Bowers in every single category so far. And I think this is the time he should get one here. Now, you got Jaden Daniels. That goes without saying. But I think with Jaden Daniels, once we got into the preseason, we started to see him make plays. Plus the fact that he's a quarterback, you kind of could see it coming. I think everybody had Jaden Daniels as at least a top 8 to 10 fantasy quarterback. With Brock Bowers, it was he plays for the Raiders. Who gonna throw in the ball? Well, it don't matter because it's Brock Bowers.
Right, but we're not talking about ADP really, right? We're talking about just rookie of the year. And Jaden Daniels, who for the most part got drafted outside the top 12. He did get a little bit of steam towards the end, and so maybe snuck into the top 10. But he wasn't ever drafted inside the top 8. He finished as QB4,
Right.
Lawrence. He led a lot of teams to fantasy titles, including, might I add, live at noon of the cock. We were a Superflex League. My 2 quarterbacks were Josh Allen and Jaden Daniels. I'm just saying, no big deal. NBD, I also had JSN and Bucky Irving. Today's award show is actually going very well for all of my members.
Man,
FYI.
listen. Brock, like I say this a lot on this show. Brock Bowers was my preseason tight end 7, so I want him to win an award. Damn it, he got to come home with something.
I think this
I'm leaving with
Lawrence,
something.
we're letting you on national TV without a shirt. I mean, tell me that's not an award in itself.
It is, but I want more.
I understand.
Let's see if the fans are on your side here, Lawrence. The fan vote for Rookie of the Year. Heavy on
yeah.
Jaden Daniels.
Faith in 5, baby. There you
58%.
go.
I don't know about this.
Brock Bowers, 23%, and
Why do you hate Jaden Daniels, Jay?
It's a little rigged. This is a fantasy award.
I have some
Brock Bowers
questions.
is tight end 2.
Do you understand how good Jaden Daniels was fantasy-wise?
Fantastic. But
Yeah.
it's QB4 and Brock Bowers is tight end 2, and tight end is a more valuable position in terms of scarcity.
More perplexed that Malik Neighbors getting 3% of the vote, less than
It
Lad
strikes me as
McConkey.
a Shakespeare in Love over Saving Private Ryan
'cause he missed the
situation, to
game.
be frank.
Yeah, it's
He
the
missed
health.
the
The
game.
travesty
That's fair.
looms.
He missed a little bit of game, but honestly, like, I mean, Malik Neighbors, you think about that last game with Drew Lock against the Colts, like single-handedly won a lot of people championships.
That's right.
That week. So a lot of great. Honestly, it was a great rookie class, Connor.
Phenomenal.
Congratulations to you. You
Thank
said
you.
you said this.
I get an award
You
too.
raised them.
Yeah.
You taught them the game.
My
baby.
kids.
Connor Rogers got to do with anything.
I'll tell you exactly. I'm going to tell you exactly what Connor Rogers.
I warned
every
you
year
of
we
this.
go to. He warned
writes
us of us.
articles
He got-
about draft guys?
Yes. We went to the combine. Connor sat down and interviewed all of them. I don't want to talk to these kids, but Connor did the heavy lifting. He did that. He talked to all of them. He came in. He told us. He said McConkey's going to be good. Bowers is going to be good. He told us all these guys were going to be good before anyone knew that they were going to be good. So this is an award for Connor Rogers as well. This is a praise
gladly
Connor
accept.
Rogers.
I'll gladly
Absolutely.
accept.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Who does the Peacocky go to? There we go. Rookie of the year. And it's nice job. Nice job, Peacocky. Seems only fitting, Connor, as our rookie expert that
You hand it to Lawrence.
you
I
handed
get
to
it.
Lawrence.
If it's
He has an open one.
I know, yeah.
yet.
Well, I was going to let you do rookie and then Lawrence do the
if
next
it's
two,
if
but
it's
that's
if
fine.
I'm opening it, it must be Brock Bowers. Congratulations, young man.
Yeah, look at that.
You got him one. You deserve it.
Righteous choice. Righteous choice. I say all these guys, the actual Offensive Rookie of the Year award, all 5 of these guys, Daniels, Neighbors, BTJ, McConkey, Bowers, and Bo Nix, Bucky Irving, I think they would have won the real award a couple of years ago when it was the Garrett Wilson, Ken Walker year. That's how deep it was. All of these guys are monsters. We didn't even talk about Bo Nix. Bo Nix turned into Josh Allen for stretches where he's just running like a madman, and he was a very viable QB starter. And then Bucky Irving, who, doesn't even make the top 5.
What was the preseason win total for the Broncos? Had to be like 6.5 or
like
7,
6.5,
something like that.
yeah.
Like, I mean, like, no one expected them to do anything as well. And Daniels, he's a flashier player. He got more of the love, if you will. But Bo Nix, with not a great supporting cast outside of Cortland Sutton, led his team to the playoffs. So I agree with you, Bo Nix there. But this is all about Brock Bowers, Lawrence, who had more fantasy points by a rookie tight end than anyone in NFL history. Like, he was phenomenal. He actually broke Puka Nakua's rookie receptions record.
Long-standing.
He had 112, long-standing. We never thought we'd see it fall.
11 months.
Malik Neighbors did too.
Malik got it for like a couple minutes. Then Malik's like, I ain't going to get no more catches. Brock Bowers then got it later in the day. So, shout out to the rookie class. Man.
But Brock Bowers, Lawrence.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm about to cry. It's just been a long time coming. The day he got drafted, I heard folks say, oh, Gardner Minshew. I said, folks, just trust him. Trust in him. He lines up everywhere. And, I mean, enjoy drafting him where you did this year because those days are long gone.
Long gone.
All right, the beauty of the Peacockys is some things you could prepare for, like Rookie of the Year. Some things you can't.
Oh, boy.
We have a surprise category that nobody on the desk is aware of.
Best picture.
Best Picture nominees. Jay, I feel like you could take this one away.
Okay, so we have The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Dune Part 2, much better than Part 1, which quietly wasn't that good, Wicked, and then Crocodile 4, Jay Gunn in Houston. Unbelievable.
That's a good one.
Wow, a real, five strong contenders.
Yeah.
Do we have an actual award for this?
I don't know. Do we? Here we go. Come on
do.
in, Peacocky. We do.
Oh, we do have a real Peacocky. Best picture at the Oscars.
So who will win the best picture? Who will win the best picture? Jay, you're our movie guy.
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, let's see.
Let's see who wins
I think
the.
it's neck and neck between The Brutalist and Jay Gunn 4 in
How
Houston.
about-
I hope
say,
Wicked
gotta
takes
be-
down Jay Gunn 4.
It is Croc 4, Jay Gunn in Houston.
go.
Take
That's
that,
a
Adrian
beautiful-
Brody.
Right. That's right. It's a beautiful tale.
A great
of,
week for Houston.
Yeah, a
between
great-
this.
yeah.
Did you
and
write
the
this
Texans.
one, or you're
I
done
co-wrote it as
Okay.
well. Yeah, exactly. Jay
I'll
takes
sue
the young
you for it.
Australian boys through the forest and teaches the Aborigines how to gamble. It's an uplifting story.
Cities were built.
Going back
upon
to that well. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, worthy winner.
Yeah.
Brutalist wasn't great.
All right, we're taking our first break. When we're back, more Peacocky Awards when we return.
Can
Got
I do
an
a quick
impression for me?
I got another
Please.
impression. All right, here's
Run defense? Give me a run defense.
Here's the defensive line of the New York Jets. Just anytime Jordan Mason's coming. This way. Hold on, here, let me just.
You're still standing, so it's not a great impression. They were doing it from the turf.
All right, sorry. Oh.
Yeah, there we
yeah.
go.
You just go that way. Can I do a quick impression of my commander secondary?
Oh.
Here we go. Here we go. All right. Skull.
Okay.
Skull.
I don't know if they do it like that.
Yes. Oh,
That's not how you celebrate Vikings victories.
Skull. I'm like in Star Wars. I'm like a tauntaun. Like just He's 6 foot. So
Right.
my point is that if he stood up tall and put the football on his helmet, and then just fell forward, that he would gain more yards by doing that than he's actually doing by running the ball, because 2 yards is again 6 feet. So it'd be like 6 feet and however big a football is. Like six, it'd be like six. It'd be like 2 yards and 3 inches if he
use
just
his arm
fell
length.
down.
Yep.
Carries
How's
so
a football
far.
3 inches long? Can we see it?
Whatever. Like no, I mean just like if you're holding it like this, he'd get almost
boy.
3 yards a carry versus the 2 that he's currently
Which is
getting.
a big difference right now.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Just something. Someone get Todd Bowles on the phone. I'm going to tell him how to do this
Okay.
and explain to him what Rachaad White should be doing. All right.
Best acting performance.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes. And it's a loaded field, very competitive one. Matthew Berry for the Commanders' secondary impression. Matthew Berry again for the Jets' run defense
Sure.
impression. Matthew Berry for a third time
Yeah.
with the dying tauntaun.
Yeah, that's from Star Wars.
Yes. Matthew Berry for the fourth time showing Rachaad White how he should, fall forward with the ball, and then the Bucs said, you know what, screw this, Bucky Irving, you're just going to play.
I'm still very disturbed by Matthew thinking of football as 3 inches
I
long.
was in the moment.
It was an estimate.
But what was? Yeah, exactly. Lawrence, you have a vote there.
You dominated the category.
Yes,
I must
this is
say.
true.
I would go with that Jets run defense because the first half plus of this season, they was just giving it up. Like if you got them on the schedule, we could run the ball. So I would say that one was a good one.
To me, it's the dying tauntaun. I'm still moved by that performance. It's just score.
I dug deep for that one.
a good
Like
one.
Tom Hanks at the end of Captain
the
Phillips.
doorman impression of the Jets run defense was quite good.
Yeah, just like here you go.
Well, let's see. Do we have a Peacocky for this? Do we actually have?
do.
There we go. There we go.
Peacocky getting a little
Okay.
agile.
Best acting performance. Jay, why don't you?
I'll do them all. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Best acting performance. Daniel Day-Lewis adjacent. Matthew Berry, a dying tauntaun.
Oh, there we go.
Got it.
I agree. It was one of my best.
Yes.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
Do
The
it again.
emotion that you had, because it wasn't just a tauntaun, but it was one that was dying.
Right.
Yes.
So, his final breaths,
Yes.
as you will, as the tauntaun's life flashes before his eyes.
Yeah, shades
Right.
of Pacino and Godfather Part 2.
Yeah, exactly right.
Spoiler.
Yeah, exactly. Spoiler
No, he
alert.
doesn't die in that one. He's fine. He dies in the next one.
Fair enough. All right, where we go?
Breakout Player of the Year.
All right, there we go.
Yes, we smoothly transition to the Breakout Player of the Year in fantasy. And yes, a lot of rookies in this one, except James Cook, who had a whopping 16 rushing touchdowns this year and a top 10 running back finish in points per game. But Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., and Brock Bowers make up the rest of this field after phenomenal rookie seasons.
And just like fantasy MVP, I think there's a lot of different ways that you could sort of define breakout, Lawrence, right? In terms of is this somebody that suddenly became a superstar? Is it someone that just took a step to the next level? Someone that we weren't expecting? There's a lot of different ways to sort of define the word breakout as it relates to fantasy.
And that's why I like James Cook in this category, especially we all should talk about it last season. He don't get any touchdowns. He had 2 last year. To go from 2 to 16 in time for the league, you lead the league in rushing touchdowns as a running back on Josh Allen's team. I think that's a breakout year. He averages 5 yards a carry.
Would that be your vote?
That would be my vote. Yeah, James Cook. He a baller.
I take umbrage with the committee's selection for nominees. My 2 picks here would be the Chubler and Sam Darnold, who are honourable mentions. I'm not sure if Sam Darnold still plays football anymore after last night, but notwithstanding, the first 16 games that he played this year were awesome. I feel like we almost can disregard them because the last 2 were so bad. But no, Darnold and the Chubler would be my picks here.
Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, 2 Buccaneers also make the honorable mention list for breakout. Baker became an elite fantasy quarterback. Bucky Irving became a must-start guy. Connor, do you have a vote here?
Yeah, I would lean James Cook. I actually would like to add one more name to the list, too. Jackson Smith-Njigba is another guy that could have been on this list. The rookies were awesome, but Jaden Daniels was the number 2 overall pick in the draft. Malik Neighbors was a top 10 pick. Brock Bowers was a top 15 pick, and Brian Thomas Jr. was still taken in the top 20 picks. So they were awesome. But James Cook, the jump that you hinted at, Lawrence, it changes your entire outlook on him going forward in fantasy.
There's no question. Any one of these guys, I mean, listen, you know me, I'm a homer for Faith in 5 here for Jaden Daniels. I think you could make an argument for Ladd McConkey here as well. The concern in the preseason was, well, he's not somebody that ever played full-time snaps at Georgia. He's a slot guy on a team that wants to run the ball, you know, and, you got Josh Palmer there who's the veteran, and QJ, their first-round pick, and McConkey became like, he became Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's a go-to guy.
Basically, he became the go-to guy in an offense that was better than people thought. Not against the Texans, but generally speaking.
He was.
He was
Yeah.
great against the
And you
Texans.
notice he caught that 86-yard touchdown. You ain't catching him. That's 4-3 wheels right there.
There's no question about it. So who did the fans vote for Breakout Player of the Year?
And the fans have answered.
Faith in 5. There we go.
Jaden Daniels, 30%. Brock Bowers, 29%. James Cook, 19%. Brian Thomas Jr., 18%. Malik Neighbors, not
Again,
getting any love from the fans.
no
I
love.
don't know what happened. 4%.
Yeah, wow.
My fellow Giants fans, not voting in great numbers. Controversial category, this one.
It
It's
is.
tough to
It
define.
is.
It's kind of like comeback player of the year.
But, I mean, I'm not surprised that Jaden Daniels won this award.
So
At
Jaden
least
Daniels
from
was
the fan vote.
QB4, right? I had him as QB7. He ended as QB4. I didn't have James Cook at running back 9, that's for sure. So it's like you said, it's a
So should this award be more like what ranking did Lawrence get
yes,
most wrong?
yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
I like that strategy.
Or it should be, let's see how high Lawrence had him first, and then we can just talk about everything else.
Fair enough. All right, well, the Peacocky goes to, let's see who wins the prestigious Peacocky, the pirouetting Peacocky as well. I'll open this one. Yes, well done, Peacocky. Nice job. You and I are gonna get hammered after this.
Well, it's a good day for that because the Peacocky drinks free, by the way.
Peacocky
Yes.
absolutely drinks free. And the Breakout Player of the Year, Jaden Daniels. Let's go. That's right. Come on. Faith in 5. 5 on the field. Number 1 in your heart. He had the second most fantasy points by a rookie quarterback in NFL history. In NFL history, the second most ever. He had the most rushing yards by a rookie quarterback as well. And this is somebody, yes, Lawrence, you had him as a low-round QB1. A lot of people had him as a high-end QB2. But we've talked about this. Next year, my rankings, I am as a QB3.
Yeah,
the only quarterbacks that you're definitely taking him over, that you're definitely taking over him next year, are Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
definitely.
If somebody took Joe Burrow over him or Jalen Hurts, you'd be like, okay, I get it. But I think in most drafts,
For sure.
Jaden Daniels is going to go between 3 and 5, and he cemented himself as an elite fantasy quarterback because it wasn't just a bunch of big performances, but consistently every week in and week out between his legs and his arms. It helped that he had a bad defense, and he constantly had to make these crazy comebacks.
It's like LSU.
Yeah, exactly right. But, just imagine when they get him an offensive line and another wide receiver besides Terry McLaurin, Jay.
Yep, we talked about it yesterday. I think he's the 5th best quarterback in football, real life. Allen, Lamar, Mahomes, Burrow. Wouldn't take anyone else over Jaden Daniels.
All right. After a prestigious award for Jaden Daniels comes a category.
Is he
that
here
does
to
not.
accept it in person, by the way, just out of curiosity?
declined the invite.
Did he? Oh, he's busy?
Yes.
Oh, that's right. He's busy preparing for the Lions.
And the nominees didn't show up for this next one either. Biggest bust in fantasy.
Now we
C.J.
talking.
Stroud was drafted as the QB5. He somehow finished QB27. Anthony Richardson, QB6 by ADP, QB20 in points per game. Travis Etienne Jr., top 10 running back by ADP, barely finished as a top 40 running back in points per game. Tyreek Hill was the number 1 wide receiver by ADP and finished as wide receiver 29 in points per game. Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver 9 in ADP. He finished as wide receiver 40 in points per game. Some honorable mentions. Christian McCaffrey, who just never really seemed to be healthy. Breece Hall, Deebo Samuel, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, and Zamir White.
Yeah. And much like MVP or breakout or value pick, like Bust is also a controversial category in that there's a lot of different ways you could define it. Is it the guy that went the highest, that performed the worst? Should injuries be allowed to count as part of a bust, or is it just somebody that just underperformed expectations? Relative, like if you drafted a guy number 1 overall and he finished like as a mid-pack guy, like it's not great, but he didn't kill you. Whereas if you drafted somebody in the 4th round and they did nothing at all, like Zamir White was going in between the 4th and 6th rounds for some people. He was on the preseason hate list, by the way. Zamir White's
That
on you
was
guys.
always wild to me,
But people did draft him.
Yeah.
People were running back hungry, and he was going in that. I saw him go as high as the 4th, and often in that, the 6th round in that area. So bust is sort of a controversial category, but Connor, how would you rate this?
I think Tyreek Hill's the runaway winner for this one. And I understand there's a lot of stuff out there that he got hurt in a joint practice and it lingered throughout the year and all that. But when Tua got hurt, Tyreek was unplayable. He really wasn't the game changer that we expected him to be when Tua was healthy. You're talking about somebody that was drafted as the number 1 wide receiver in fantasy football, barely sneaking into the top 30 in points per game. It was just a very disappointing year for Tyreek Hill that doesn't stand up anywhere close to the rest of the field.
Did he score fewer fantasy points than Jonnu Smith? Must have been neck and neck, which is absolutely insane.
Tyreek had a couple 100-yard games to end the season, so he might have
Jonnu Smith
got
had
him
more
at
touchdowns.
the end.
Yeah, for sure.
And the yardage was pretty close, which is just completely insane.
Yeah.
That Tyreek Hill was in the same tier as Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, I mean, look, just to give you some other context here, I mean, I do think Richardson got benched for Joe Flacco. I mean, this is somebody that was pitched to me as a ride or die candidate. This is somebody that I saw some people had him as a top.
Who pitched to you as a ride or die candidate? Who would do such a thing?
I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but he was also, I saw some people had him as high as QB3 as well. I mean, you mentioned McCaffrey, like the injuries, but like even the few games that McCaffrey was healthy, he didn't score a touchdown.
Right.
Like this is a guy that like it was a joke about how it got to be like minus 300 on DraftKings, like anytime touchdown for McCaffrey because he was just so automatic, and yet he didn't score a touchdown in the handful of games that he was actually healthy this year. That's during Marvin Harrison Jr. as well. When you think about the fact that the Cardinals, listen, Kyler Murray did not have the year we all hoped he would. Certainly, he more died than ride for me this year. I've got to bounce back next year with that pick. But for as much talent as he has and as much success as all the rookie wide receivers had this year, shocking how bad Marvin Harrison Jr. was, given the amount of looks he got in that offense.
Very disappointing season for MHJ, overshadowed by all the other rookie receivers. Producer Stephen tells me that Jonnu Smith did have 4 more points than Tyreek Hill this season, which is completely insane. One other one in the honorable mentions, and interested for your thoughts here, Connor, looking forward on Breece Hall, who just never got going for him. It was a strange season in terms of his usage, in terms of his
He was often
health.
drafted as the second best running back.
Yeah, we were talking on CMC, Breece Hall, and Bijan, and people were weighing those 3 guys up. And I will say, I thought at the end of the season, against Buffalo, he looked healthier and more spry than he had in a long time.
Another guy that was hurt during OTAs, a little banged up during training camp, and never looked like himself during the season, but it was way too inconsistent.
I think he'll bounce back next year.
I would actually put Debo on here instead of the 2 quarterbacks. He had a rough go this year.
All right, so let's take a look at the fan vote before we get to the official winner.
Tyreek Hill
is
40%.
Yeah,
wow,
a
landslide.
Yeah, big fan vote.
Yeah,
I'm actually surprised Stroud only got 2% because taking his QB5 and being literally unplayable in fantasy.
He finished his QB 27.
I mean, he wasn't super flex
QB 5, right? And he finished his QB 27. Again, he was also on the hate list. CJ Stroud was, but I didn't think he'd finish outside the top 25. As well. Just kind of a shock there. All right, the Peacocky goes to. That's right, Peacocky. You can fly.
This
fly.
is a big one.
You can fly, Peacocky. Biggest bust. Biggest bust. All right, Jay, that's clearly you.
Somebody got to do it.
All right, biggest bust. I think I know who this is going to be. This should be a Heath Ledger, Best Supporting Actor, Dark Knight type situation for Tyreek Hill, I would have thought. And it is Tyreek Hill who is the biggest bust of the 2024
wide
season.
receiver,
Congratulations,
finishes wide receiver 29 in points per game basis. Had only 4 weeks where he finished as a top 12 wide receiver. 7 different weeks he was outside the top 50. Fewer points per game than Josh Downs, Adam Thielen, Juwan Jennings, Jacoby Myers. And the biggest issue with Tyreek Hill is you never felt like you could bench him. At least with C.J. Stroud, like you quickly figured out, like, all right, I got to find somebody else, right? A lot of these other guys, you felt like, okay, I got to move on. CMC, at least, there were a lot of weeks where you knew, like, he's not starting from this week. Tyreek Hill, you always felt like you had to start him, and yet the production never came, and if it did come, it was inconsistent and weird when it came. Like, Tyler Huntley against Cleveland, suddenly Tyreek Hill has a good game. Like, that was the issue with Tyreek Hill, is you felt like you always had to start him, and just the production was never there. And again, there were so many other wide receivers that you could have had instead of Tyreek Hill.
On a much lighter note, Fantasy MVP is our next award, and the nominees are, no surprise, a lot of top players at their position. Lamar Jackson, QB1, Josh Allen, QB2, both averaged over 23 fantasy points per game. Saquon Barkley, RB1, Bijan Robinson, RB3, and Jamar Chase as the wide receiver 1 in fantasy.
Derrick Henry obviously on the honorable mention list here as well. But again, fantasy MVP, like so many awards, is it best value, period, or is it just most production?
Who's the best?
Who is the guy? Who is the guy that led you to a title? Josh Allen led my team to a title. I see some of these players were on your guys' teams, but they did not lead you to a title. Derrick Henry, honorable mention, also on my team. I can't believe it was even close with you guys when I think about all these awards my team is winning.
Well done, Matthew. None of these guys were on my team, stunningly. The guy I most would have liked to have on my team, though, was Jamar Chase, who I think who should be the winner here. I mean, he won the Triple Crown. It just doesn't happen. The only guys who have done that, I think, in the past 25 years, are Cooper Kupp and then Steve Smith back on the Panthers. So Jamar Chase, and also it's just the week in, week out consistency. In years past, there have been, quiet Jamar Chase games. There's one game where Patrick Surtain held him to nothing. But this season, every week, he was just a force.
It was amazing. And, by the way, proud Fantasy Life investor, Jamar Chase. Let's go to the fan vote here.
Which Saquon Barkley wins the fan vote at 43%
Not shocked at this.
for Barkley. 7 games with 25-plus points. That was the most among non-quarterbacks. Jamar Chase, the runner-up here from the fans, at 25%. Jamar Chase was averaging 4 points per game better than the next top wide receiver in fantasy, which is just absolutely unbelievable. But let's get to the official winner.
Yeah, let's get to the official winner, because Barkley was so great. I get that.
He's another one who was week in and week out.
You can't really deny anybody on this
Is he tap dancing?
list.
What's Peacocky doing? He's doing a little shuffle there.
This is a big one.
Yeah,
Yep, go off,
The
Peacocky.
Harlem Shuffle, you've heard it. It's the Stanford
robot.
Shuffle. It's the Stanford Shuffle.
There you go. He's doing the robot. Look at him.
Oh, nice.
Oh, hey.
Is there anything Peacocky can't do? You and I are going to go to a park, and we're gonna have people tip you. All right.
Great.
Yeah. And then we're going to go get drunk. Me and Peacocky. And the fantasy MVP goes to Jamar Chase.
Yes.
Yes, Jamar Chase, well deserved. You mentioned it, Connor, about the 4 points better than wide receiver 2. He was the highest scoring non-quarterback, and he was the only wide receiver to average 19 or more fantasy points. Just to give you some comparison, 5 different running backs, including Saquon Barkley, averaged 19 or more fantasy points. So while Barkley was great, there were a lot of other guys like Derrick Henry, like Jahmyr Gibbs, that were great. Jamar Chase was in a class by himself. As you mentioned, the Triple Crown, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. He led in all those categories. And think about all the wide receivers at the top of the draft. Puka got hurt. Tyreek Hill was bad as well. CeeDee Lamb got hurt as well. Jefferson was fine, but not great. He was like, if you went wide receiver in the first round, there were some landmines there, but Jamar Chase was not it. So to me, I think Jamar Chase, a very deserving fantasy MVP.
Let's not forget, around draft time, we were nervous about Jamar Chase in the first round because of the contract situation, if he was going to play. And
all he did was up them numbers.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly right. He says, I'm just going to go ball out and make myself a zillion dollars. He did what's known in the industry as the anti-Sam Darnold, is what he did, in terms of just going out there and earning a ton of money. Too soon? Too soon, Jay?
No, just right on time. Yes. Next day is always the right time.
Well done, J.J. McCarthy.
All right, the Fantasy Playoffs MVP. Obviously, the qualifier here is weeks 15 to 17. You lunatics that play week 18, not included here. The nominees are Jared Goff, QB1 during the Fantasy Playoffs, 30.7 points per game. Jaden Daniels, QB2 at 30 points per game. Brian Thomas Jr. was the number 1 wide receiver during the Fantasy Playoffs, averaging over 28 points per game. Jahmyr Gibbs was RB1, averaging 26.7 points per game. And not Jamar Chase, but his teammate T. Higgins had 26.6 points per game as wide receiver 2 during the playoffs. A couple honorable mentions there, Matthew. Of course, Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, a lot of these guys led their teams to titles. including Jane Daniels, who led me to one. Mike Evans also on my team, by the way. No big deal, just saying.
Oh, speaking of that fan vote.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs gets 62. I mean, like, it's weird because we said weeks 15 through 17, Gibbs was awesome down the stretch. He was the number one running back in fantasy during that stretch, but of course that week 18 game just absolutely bonkers. So let's see who the Peacocky goes to.
Arguably the most prestigious Peacocky.
Yeah. It's when it matters most.
Yeah, when it matters. When it matters most. Lawrence Jackson, do the honors.
Let's see.
When it matters most.
Playoff MVP. So something got me feeling like it's going to be a lot like the fan vote, and it is Jahmyr Gibbs.
Sonic.
Yes.
Sonic.
Great job by Sonic.
We got a Sonic hat back there. Go ahead and throw that on, Matthew, to show your support. Oh, he
There you
brings
go.
out
Here.
Knuckles instead. Knuckles did not get fantasy MVP. In fact, he was
Are
watching.
you sure that's Knuckles? Oh, yeah, that is Knuckles.
This
there
is
you go. That's
Knuckles.
Sonic.
I'm not going to put this on, but shout out to Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry. I'm not up on my Sonic and Knuckles lore,
okay.
but
Hold on.
Jahmyr Gibbs was the only non-quarterback to score 25 or more fantasy points in every single playoff game. All three of them. He also scored, again, 46 fantasy points in Week 18 for you heathens that play in the last week of the season. But there you go. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Knuckles. You're back here. All right. But there you go. There's
about the
Sonic.
Sonic.
We couldn't spring for a Sonic doll. Look what happened there.
We got the hat.
We got the hat, but it's not the same.
That's okay.
All right, the final category that we don't know what it is. But
Okay.
let's see.
Poor Steven. Steven ran his ass off. Like, running a marathon is hard. I can't even contemplate running a marathon. I fell asleep on the couch in the third quarter last night.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right, you know? Now, I woke up in time to see the fourth. But my point is that Steven went out there and did something really healthy. He accomplished a goal. And what do? We crapped all over it.
Yep. Now, to be fair, I go the other way. I'm told that Steven didn't even win the marathon. He didn't even come
This is
first.
true.
That
It was
a
why we
participation
celebrate.
medal.
Yeah, it was a participation medal. You get them when you're in second grade.
And you said, hey, no, just as we all drew it up as if no one saw this coming. Oh, somebody saw this coming. Pete, do you have the clip from Fantasy Football pregame? I brought receipts.
That was,
You don't?
That was not in the
What do you mean
run-
you don't?
That was
The
not.
hell?
It was not in the rundown.
We talked about this.
No, he didn't.
We absolutely.
I love asking for something that's nowhere in the rundown.
Well, it's whatever. The fact of the matter is I said it. That's fine. That's fine. Just pretend this is me in my Sunday morning outfit.
Hey, Pete, can you roll the clip from 2012 where Matthew declared Arian Foster?
Yeah,
Can we just roll that?
Yeah.
Bar
lot of
trivia
debate.
standings.
Got
Lot
some
of
work to
debate.
do,
The asterisk.
fellas. Work to do.
I almost put that into my airing of grievances because I think that Bo Nix scored more fantasy points than Anthony Richardson. It was scored the other way because there's a discrepancy about what scoring system we use to do this. So that's an asterisk. I should have another.
the asterisk is-
What
Not
y'all
being
don't
crybaby.
see on the screen is our researcher Big Show playing the violin for Matthew there.
Yeah.
So
Matthew's
shout out
still,
to Big Show.
Bad night at the hotel
I
last
heard
night.
you dealt with some light motion sensors that woke you up.
This hotel.
No orange slices at the hotel?
Yeah, no orange slice at the hotel. For some reason, lights that went on, motion light, and I turned them all off because while I was writing, like they would go out. I'd be like just sitting there typing, and the lights would just suddenly go out, and I'd have to like get up and do that. Lights are
Visualizing
playing.
this makes me so happy.
Yeah,
I can't
it really
tell
is
you.
a joy.
Oh, it was awful.
The idea of you
It was
swearing at the rooftops.
absolutely awful. Word to the NBC ad sales folks. If you guys can find out, from off the air what hotel I stayed in, I will never do a live read for this show. Now, do not bother selling it. Do not bother selling it, or make a deal with Jay because I will never. Yeah.
I have nothing against this place.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm
Not
pro this
yet.
place. because of
You know what
the
I'm gonna
image of you.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I will pay for you. I will buy a night there. It's that miserable experience. I want
strange.
you and your wife to
He has 3
to
young
enjoy.
kids. You think that's good? Lights
Everything's
are
an
going to phase
upgrade.
in?
Everything's an upgrade. I love light motion sensors at 5 a.m. being the worst thing about my sleep.
Guy, they were doing construction starting at 8:30.
Nothing to him. Unfazed.
Place is a blank hole. So it's a blank hole.
Most thrown under the bus. The nominees are producer Steven, backup producer Pete,
Yeah.
Big Show, our show researcher, or the Greenwich Hotel.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought this category was going to be best Matthew Tanford.
By the way, it was the Hyatt. I don't care anymore. It was the Hyatt. I don't even care anymore. Listen, hearing me complain about that, it brings me back to that night.
Yeah, it's bad.
I just remember it's literally the worst hotel I've ever stayed in my life.
I'm shocked that Acrisure Stadium didn't make it on.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, that
Acrisure
was
Stadium
cool.
should
That
have
was-
made it on that.
that was funny.
I have a
won't
bone to
forget
pick
that.
with the committee there. Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely should have.
Well, let's get the
Let's get the
award.
Peacocky. Let's see who won that one. Who do you guys think?
I hope it's producer Pete.
I
Yeah,
feel like
it's
backup
'cause-
producer
yeah.
Pete. I feel like took more shots at him than anyone else.
I would love to do the honors
All
of
right,
this
yes,
one.
there you go, Connor. You occasionally get thrown under the bus.
Yep. Most thrown under the bus, the prestigious award goes to third string backup
Yes.
producer Pete.
Yeah, Pete.
And looky, here he is.
Wow.
He's here.
Oh, yes. There he is. Congratulations, Pete. Yeah.
Yes.
You get the handshakes.
Here, you get a Sonic hat. Yeah, to replace your Giants hat.
And we have that sound, right, Steven? We have that sound. Oh,
Oh,
no.
no sound.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so what are you going to do?
Okay.
But thank you. Do you have any acceptance speech? Backup producer Pete, you can speak in my chest here.
No. I'll just pawn off this hat to make up for the salary I've lost after you throw me under the bus so many times.
That's fine.
All right.
By the way,
We're
I
taking our
believe the
last
hat
break.
costs about what we pay you here
Last
at
call.
NBC Sports. All right. Backup producer Pete.
F you, you're cool. I'm out.
Best bets coming up. Early line alert. DraftKings Sportsbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. The
crown is yours.
It's time for last call, divisional round odds. Jay, what do you like on the board?
Taking my Texans plus 7.5. I think this might be the best defense in football. I think they keep this within a touchdown.
Lawrence, what about you?
Ravens minus 6.5. They're gonna make it about Josh versus Lamar. It's the tougher team versus the not tougher team. Give me the Ravens.
I'm going to combine two alt lines here. Rams plus 10.5, Ravens plus 5.5 gets you plus money, plus 102.
Yeah, I'm going Commanders plus 9.5.
Oh, stunner.
Week 1 was the only time they lost by more than 8 points. I think they keep this close. I think they backdoor cover this one as well. Thank you so much for tuning into the Peacockys. Peacocky, come on out here. Take a bow. You've done a great job. Reveal yourself. This is Jason. Jason, our tape producer here. When you see when you see video or clips
Well done,
on the
Jason.
show,
Well done.
Jason is the one that produces them for us. Sometimes the clips that we share socially as well. He
Jason's
does a
the real
great job. He
fantasy
works
MVP.
hard, and we don't deserve him. Anyway, this has been the 3rd annual Peacockys, the most prestigious award in fake football. For Lawrence, Jay, and Connor, I'm Matthew and Jason the Peacocky. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you Thursday. Peace out. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.